Tick-tock, have you ever heard a clock and known it's telling a story? Some clocks tell grand tales. Their bells ring out across cities, demanding order from chaos, announcing birthdays and weddings, marking moments of triumph and grief. Dew clings to the gray stones, and the only sound is the soft chime of the Abbey's ancient clock. Just one chime. Here, amidst the musty scent of old wood and leather, he consults ancient texts and ponders the mysteries of the universe. He slips from his bed, his joints aching from a lifetime of kneeling before the divine. He sweeps the courtyard, pausing to admire the intricate patterns made by fallen leaves. But before sleep claims him, he joins the other monks in the chapel. May his quiet reverence for both the divine and the scientific remind you of life's beauty in both the grand tapestry of existence and its tiniest details. Just as Aurelius finds harmony between his faith and his love of learning, may you to embrace all aspects of your being. And as you drift to sleep, let the gentle rhythm of the clock lull you into dreams. For in its ticking, there's a lullaby, a reminder that even in the stillness life unfolds its wonders. Sweet dreams. During the evening prayer, his voice joins the chorus, a testament to a life devoted to seeking the divine, whether in the stars or in the shared moments of a religious community. As the final hymn echoes through the chapel, Aurelius turns toward home. His footsteps echo the steady beat of a life well lived. Soon, his room will be filled with dreams of celestial wonders, a fitting end to a day spent unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Evenings find him back in his room, poring over his astronomical charts. With a flickering candle as his only light, he calculates, writes, then pauses, gazing at the heavens through his window. He sees God's grand design, not just in the grand gestures of the cosmos, but in the fall of a single leaf. His faith and scientific pursuits intertwined, Aurelius finds harmony in the universe's grand clockwork. He whispers, "In every tick, I hear your praise." As he dresses, he reaches for a worn leather-bound book tucked under his habit. It's filled with his observations of celestial bodies and scribbled equations attempting to understand their movements. Unlike his fellow monks, Aurelius finds enlightenment not only in prayer, but in unraveling the mysteries of the universe. The sight of planets and stars guides him as surely as scripture. As the first rays of sunlight touch his face, Aurelius heads to his favorite spot, an ancient oak overlooking the Abbey. He opens his book, tracing constellations with a gnarled finger. He murmurs, "Oh, Creator, grant me understanding." His voice rough with age, yet his eyes shine with childlike wonder. What sets him apart from the rest is his fascination with time. He keeps an old pocket watch, its delicate ticking, a constant reminder of life's fleeting nature. He also studies sundials and water clocks, fascinated by how humans throughout history have tried to measure time's relentless march. Despite his unusual interests, Aurelius finds peace in the quiet rituals of monastic life. He tends the Abbey's herb garden, finding solace in the earthy scents and the feel of cool water from the well in his hands. When evening shadows lengthen and the Abbey falls silent, Aurelius returns to his room. There, surrounded by his books and trinkets collected from his travels, he feels a deep sense of contentment. Though misunderstood by some, Aurelius continues to seek wisdom in both ancient texts and the simple wonders of the natural world, reminding everyone that spirituality and intellectual curiosity are not mutually exclusive. One lonely toll that echoes the solitude of a soul named Brother Aurelius. His name means golden. His hair is white, but his spirit shines with a youthful curiosity, especially in his eyes. They sparkle with the joy of discovery, as if he has just found a new constellation in a vast expanse of time. This clock, though whispers its story in hushed chambers among polished wheels and weights, its tale unfolds and clicks and clacks, its tick-tock weaving magic through the night. And as I speak these words, the clock begins its tale anew. Would you listen? Tonight, let us gather in the hallowed halls of an ancient abbey, nestled atop a misty hill. Aurelius is not your typical monk. While others chant prayers or tend their herb gardens, he spends his hours in a small chamber beneath the bell tower, When the Abbey's ancient clock strikes 1, signaling the start of a new day, Aurelius wakes. As the day progresses, Aurelius tends to his duties. He assists in the kitchen, his wrinkled hands moving with surprising agility. That same night, as the moon casts long shadows across the Abbey, Aurelius prepares for bed. This is our tale of Brother Aurelius, the clock keeper. Welcome to the final chapter of our auditory adventure. As you step into the grand hall, your eyes trace the arc of the ceiling, adorned with celestial wonders that mirror those in the night sky above. A hush falls over the room, broken only by the gentle chiming of the great clock in the corner. It's a familiar sound, a melody composed of gears and chimes that you've come to know so intimately during your journey. Aurelius sits nearby, his weathered hands resting on the worn surface of a table. His gaze, however, is fixed on the clock, a silent conversation passing between them. As you draw near, you can see Brother Aurelius waiting for you. His presence, like the Abbey itself, is a beacon of solace, a testament to the power of finding peace in a world that often feels too loud and too fast. Suddenly, a sliver of sunlight pierces through a high window, illuminating dust motes, dancing in the air, and catching on Aurelius's silver hair. You realize that you, too, are a part of this grand symphony. Your heartbeat, your breath, and even your silence contribute to the rich tapestry of existence. The sounds you've heard, the emotions you've felt, and the stories you've witnessed have all contributed to a profound sense of calm that envelops you. The gentle chime of the clock, the rustling of leaves outside, the distant murmur of bees, they all blend into a melody that resonates with the stillness within your soul. Aurelius, with his quiet wisdom, has shown you the way. He has taught you that within the rhythm of life, there exists a constant reminder of the divine, a celestial lullaby that beckons you to find solace in every tick and every tick. As the final notes of the great clock fade into the idyllic soundscape of the Abbey, you find yourself enveloped in a profound sense of peace. It's a feeling that transcends the boundaries of time and space, reminding you of the solace that awaits you in the quiet moments of life. Startled, you stir, realizing that your surroundings have shifted. Intrigued, you start to walk along it, drawn by an invisible force towards the Abbey in the distance. With each step, the path grows clearer, revealing not just the terrain beneath your feet, but also the emotions that have echoed within the Abbey walls. At the first bend, you hear echoes of laughter and camaraderie from the bustling courtyard, where monks tend to their gardens or engage in lively discussions. Further along, you hear the resonant chime of the bell, each toll resonating with a solemn rhythm of prayer and dedication. No longer in the safety of the tower, you find yourself on a lush hillside overlooking the Abbey nestled in the valley below. The rhythmic tap of hammers on anvils in the workshop, and the soft rustle of parchment in the library. Rolling hills, meandering rivers, and distant mountain ranges stretch out before you, painting a picture of tranquility and timeless beauty. This moment of clarity allows you to appreciate the significance of the Abbey, not just as a place of solitude, but as a sanctuary of peace amidst a world that often seems too loud, too chaotic, and too hurried. These sounds weave together, creating a tapestry of life that underscores the Abbey's heartbeat. The scene is serene, almost dreamlike, yet there's a palpable sense of peace that permeates the landscape. As you take in the panorama, you notice a winding path leading down the hill. The closer you get to the Abbey, the softer these sounds become, transitioning into the gentle murmur of voices in the scriptorium. And then suddenly, the path broadens, revealing a breathtaking vista of the surrounding countryside. You continue your journey, descending the final stretch of the path and entering the Abbey grounds. Reaching him, you realize that your journey has come full circle. In this place, in this moment, you understand that true peace is not found in the absence of sound, but in the harmonious symphony of existence. Now, as you stand here, the boundary between your inner world and the external soundscape blurs, and as the last echoes of the clock fade away, you carry this understanding with you, knowing that in the quietest corners of life, There's a universe of harmony waiting to be discovered. The great clock of the sleeping Abbey is about to begin its nightly wind down. Today's a special day. Today, we're gonna sleep with the clock. Don't get too comfy just yet though. First, we have to settle in. Well, if you've noticed, there's no episode for the nun hour. Well, there's no fancy equipment needed for his job. All it takes is some basic supplies and an intimate knowledge of the clock. They ask, what is the most difficult part of keeping a clock? Well, as the keeper of the Abbey clock, Aurelius has faced many challenges over the years. He's dealt with broken gears, snapped chains, and bulky weights. But none of these practical problems compared to the most difficult part of his job. That, he says, is dealing with the people. You see, when you're responsible for keeping the Abbey clock in good repair, you become the keeper of time itself, and people are naturally very concerned about time. They want to know how much they have left, whether they're wasting it or wasting it. They want to bend it to their will, speed it up, slow it down, stop it altogether, and that can be a lot to handle, especially when you're a humble monk who just wants to do his job in peace. But Aurelius rises to the challenge. He deals with the townspeople's requests and demands with patience and grace. He explains the limits of his power and the folly of trying to control time. And in the end, he earns their respect and admiration. After all, keeping a clock is more than just a job. It's an art form, a way of life, and Aurelius wouldn't trade it for the world. To keep time, Aurelius uses a few essential tools, each one carefully chosen for its simplicity and reliability. Your feedback helps us grow and allows us to continue bringing you high-quality content. Plus, it is a great way to show your support for the hard work and dedication that goes into each episode. So if you have a few minutes to spare, why not head over to the platform and leave a review? Thank you for joining us for today's episode. We hope you found it informative and entertaining. If you're interested in supporting the channel further, we invite you to check out our support page. Your support allows us to keep producing high-quality content without relying on outside investors or sponsors. So please consider making a donation today and helping us continue to bring you the content you love. Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions. Who knows? You might learn something new and inspiring about the world around you. Thanks for tuning in. First, he uses a variety of screwdrivers, each with a different head to match the many screws that hold the clock together. Next, he uses a selection of brushes, both hard and soft, to clean and polish the gears and other components. He also uses a variety of oils and lubricants to keep the clock running smoothly. But perhaps his most important tool is his ear. Aurelius has trained himself to listen intently to the sound of the clock, which gives him clues about its condition and any potential problems that need to be addressed. With these simple tools and his keen sense of hearing, Aurelius is able to keep the Abbey clock in perfect working order, ensuring that it continues to tell the time for generations to come. None is one of only 2 hours in the pattern man's day that has no assigned task, no set action. Well, the great Abbey clock is a marvel of engineering. But even with the best care, sometimes things go wrong. Gears can break, chains can snap, and the delicate balance of the clock can be thrown off. When these failures occur, Aurelius approaches them with a combination of humility and determination. He knows that no one, no matter how skilled or experienced, is immune to mistakes. Instead of being discouraged, he uses these setbacks as an opportunity to learn and improve. He carefully examines the broken parts, trying to understand the cause of the failure. He consults ancient texts and reaches out to other clockmakers for advice. And he tests new theories and techniques to see if they might prevent similar problems in the future. Through this process, Aurelius not only repairs the clock, he also gains a deeper understanding of its inner workings. And that, in turn, makes him an even better keeper of time. Most of the other hours are taken up with scripture reading, meditation, prayer, exercise, work. By contrast, none feels like a waste. But Aurelius sees it differently. When we wrote about none, we wanted to capture that feeling of a moment slipping by unnoticed, of an hour spent in contemplation and reflection. Sometimes that means focusing on something specific, like the walk in the outer cloister, or the simple act of watching the shadows stretch. But mostly it means allowing yourself to be present, to notice the details that make up an afternoon in the Abbey. The ivy climbing up the stone wall, the crow's cry echoing in the trees, the bell waiting patiently in the distance. These moments may seem insignificant, but Aurelius knows better. He understands that every moment, whether filled with action or quiet reflection, is another opportunity to practice patience, to cultivate mindfulness, to align oneself with the natural order of things. The fact that the hour seems wasted doesn't mean it isn't full. For Aurelius and the monks of the Abbey, the nun hour is a chance to rest, to recharge, and to appreciate the beauty of the everyday. So, take a cue from Aurelius. Make time to stop and smell the roses, to sit in silence and soak up the atmosphere around you. You never know what wonders you might discover. We need to get to know our keepers, figure out how they do things around here. And while we wait, we're going to keep the anxiety at bay by doing our favorite thing, answering questions you sent in. I've been setting aside some time each week to read your letters and find inspiration for future episodes. I love learning from you, so please keep them coming. Now let's get started. Our first question comes from a patron. They ask, what happens during the nun hour? Our next question comes from another patron. They asked, what sort of tools does Aurelius use in his work? Our next question comes from a patron. They ask, how does Aurelius deal with failure? And finally, we have a question from another patron. If you enjoyed today's episode, we invite you to leave a review and share your thoughts with fellow fans. Tick-tock, have you ever heard a clock and known it's telling a story? Some clocks tell grand tales. Their bells ring out across cities, demanding order from chaos, announcing birthdays and weddings, marking moments of triumph and grief. Dew clings to the gray stones, and the only sound is the soft chime of the Abbey's ancient clock. Just one chime. Here, amidst the musty scent of old wood and leather, he consults ancient texts and ponders the mysteries of the universe. He slips from his bed, his joints aching from a lifetime of kneeling before the divine. He sweeps the courtyard, pausing to admire the intricate patterns made by fallen leaves. But before sleep claims him, he joins the other monks in the chapel. May his quiet reverence for both the divine and the scientific remind you of life's beauty in both the grand tapestry of existence and its tiniest details. Just as Aurelius finds harmony between his faith and his love of learning, may you to embrace all aspects of your being. And as you drift to sleep, let the gentle rhythm of the clock lull you into dreams. For in its ticking, there's a lullaby, a reminder that even in the stillness life unfolds its wonders. Sweet dreams. During the evening prayer, his voice joins the chorus, a testament to a life devoted to seeking the divine, whether in the stars or in the shared moments of a religious community. As the final hymn echoes through the chapel, Aurelius turns toward home. His footsteps echo the steady beat of a life well lived. Soon, his room will be filled with dreams of celestial wonders, a fitting end to a day spent unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Evenings find him back in his room, poring over his astronomical charts. With a flickering candle as his only light, he calculates, writes, then pauses, gazing at the heavens through his window. He sees God's grand design, not just in the grand gestures of the cosmos, but in the fall of a single leaf. His faith and scientific pursuits intertwined, Aurelius finds harmony in the universe's grand clockwork. He whispers, in every tick, I hear your praise. As he dresses, he reaches for a worn leather-bound book tucked under his habit. It's filled with his observations of celestial bodies and scribbled equations attempting to understand their movements. Unlike his fellow monks, Aurelius finds enlightenment not only in prayer, but in unraveling the mysteries of the universe. The sight of planets and stars guides him as surely as scripture. As the first rays of sunlight touch his face, Aurelius heads to his favorite spot, an ancient oak overlooking the Abbey. He opens his book, tracing constellations with a gnarled finger. He murmurs, "Oh, Creator, grant me understanding." His voice rough with age, yet his eyes shine with childlike wonder. What sets him apart from the rest is his fascination with time. He keeps an old pocket watch, its delicate ticking, a constant reminder of life's fleeting nature. He also studies sundials and water clocks, fascinated by how humans throughout history have tried to measure time's relentless march. Despite his unusual interests, Aurelius finds peace in the quiet rituals of monastic life. He tends the Abbey's herb garden, finding solace in the earthy scents and the feel of cool water from the well in his hands. When evening shadows lengthen and the Abbey falls silent, Aurelius returns to his room. There, surrounded by his books and trinkets collected from his travels, he feels a deep sense of contentment. Though misunderstood by some, Aurelius continues to seek wisdom in both ancient texts and the simple wonders of the natural world, reminding everyone that spirituality and intellectual curiosity are not mutually exclusive. One lonely toll that echoes the solitude of a soul named Brother Aurelius. His name means golden. His hair is white, but his spirit shines with a youthful curiosity, especially in his eyes. They sparkle with the joy of discovery, as if he has just found a new constellation in a vast expanse of time. This clock, though whispers its story in hushed chambers among polished wheels and weights, its tale unfolds and clicks and clacks, its tick-tock weaving magic through the night. And as I speak these words, the clock begins its tale anew. Would you listen? Tonight, let us gather in the hallowed halls of an ancient abbey, nestled atop a misty hill. Aurelius is not your typical monk. While others chant prayers or tend their herb gardens, he spends his hours in a small chamber beneath the bell tower. When the abbey's ancient clock strikes 1, signaling the start of a new day, Aurelius wakes. As the day progresses, Aurelius tends to his duties. He assists in the kitchen, his wrinkled hands moving with surprising agility. That same night, as the moon casts long shadows across the abbey, Aurelius prepares for bed. This is our tale of Brother Aurelius, the clock keeper. This is the last story in our collection from the Abbey of the Everlasting Bells. If you haven't already, be sure to listen to the playlist or download the app to keep the stories alive on your phone. Chapter 30. Fog at Prime. A soft, silver fog curls around the cloisters. It is early, so early the birds have not yet called the sun. And yet, the abbey stirs. A single bell tolls prime. There is the sound of parchment flexing in dry air, the drop of a fig from the refectory roof, the soft tuck of a robe's hem brushing against a carved step. But the quietest sound of all is the moment just before the bell strikes, that tiny hesitation. The breath the world takes before the chime begins. He lives for that moment. It reminds him, time is not just motion. It is pause. Teach me how to make a clock, he had said. Aurelius, instead, handed him a child's toy, a small wooden clock with painted hands and colored numbers. Linus blinked. But this isn't real. Aurelius smiled. It keeps real joy, he said. And sometimes, joy is the first thing we forget to mark. Linus kept the toy on his desk. Even now, as he copies prayers with ink-black fingers, it sits nearby, the hour hand always pointing to a memory, low and long, cutting gently through the mist, like a shepherd's crook through wool. When a bell chimes, it's as if a knot has been tied. When the pendulum swings, it pulls the thread forward. She wore a red ribbon and carried a satchel full of chestnuts. She did not speak, only watched, and followed Aurelius wherever he walked. He made her a small wooden gear, painted it blue, hung it on a cord. She stayed for 1 week. Then, one day, she was gone. No tracks, no word. But the ribbon remains, tied gently to the lowest bell chain. A reminder, time brings all things and carries them away. And when the hour passes in silence, the thread rests, waiting for the next hand to guide it. In this, the monks and the clockmaker are the same. They weave, not garments, not tapestries, but time itself. The monks fretted called 4 ropes, pans, ladders. But Aurelius said, wait. And in time, Our podcast is lovingly crafted with original artwork and music. Join us every week for new tales from around the world. And now, my friends, it is time for bed. Your eyelids are heavy, your breathing slow and deep. If you need to stir, if you need to turn, you may do so softly. Don't disturb the sleep of others, but move gently as you must. Here in the Abbey, even silence is sacred, and sleep is a blessing. May your dreams be filled with the peace of the everlasting bells. The swan lifted herself, unhurried, graceful, wings trailing mist. He watched her disappear into the white, then whispered to the hour, "That was yours." Some hours give us swans, moments of pure, quiet grace. Not planned, not earned, just given. Brother Aurelius stands beneath the tower's eaves. The cold beads his robe with dew. Each day, after sext, Brother Aurelius makes tea, not for the monks, not for a guest, for himself and time. He uses a small brass pot, drops in rosemary, lemon balm, and chamomile. He sees himself walk up the tower stairs in reverse. The pendulum swings the other way. The chain lifts its own weight. The bell hums, then the sun goes down, then up. Leaves fly from ground to tree. Candles It is not frightening. It is peaceful, like untying a knot in the soul. He wakes with no memory of the middle of the night, only this sense that time had cradled him, not as its servant, but as its child. Lets it steep while the sex bell fades into the ivy. He drinks slowly, seated by the open window, watches the bees hum along the cloister vines. The tea is bitter, earthy, like history in a cup. He swirls at once, then whispers to the clock tower, though it cannot hear. To the next hour, and the next. His breath ghosts in front of him, steady as the pendulum behind the wall. They rise, they fall, they fade. But to Aurelius, they are beads. He fingers their chimes like a rosary. Each tone is a decade, each ring a prayer. Matins is a silver tone lonely. Lauds sings of dew and rising light. Prime hums, warm and low. A beginning. Terce twinkles like sunlight through windows. Sext buzzes like bees in clover. None echoes with quiet resolve. Vespers melts like wax. And Complan is a sigh wrapped in wool. He does not speak these thoughts aloud, but he carries them like a monk carries sacred stones. The world is veiled this morning, but the clock remains clear. Always faithful, always sure. He whispers a prayer into the mist, just 5 words long. Let the hour be kind. And then he turns back to his gears, his candles, his soft rhythms. Chapter 31. The Abbey's quiet as sound. Some sounds in the Abbey go unnoticed. They are too small to draw attention, but to Aurelius, they are music. Chapter 32. The rosary of bells, too many. The Abbey bells are just markers. Chapter 33. The monk and the toy clock. Years ago, when Brother Linus was still a novice, he asked Aurelius for a lesson. Chapter 34. Tea at sext, in the small kitchen, just off the gardens. There is a ritual few know about. Chapter 35. The dream rewind. On rare nights, Brother Aurelius dreams backwards, not in nonsense or flashes, but in perfect time reversal. Chapter 36. The thread of prayer. Not all the monks understand clocks, but they understand thread, and Aurelius thinks of each second as such, a fine strand in a great, sacred tapestry. Chapter 37. The lost child. One summer long ago, a child wandered into the Abbey grounds. No one knew from where. Chapter 38. The swan's hour. One fog-bound morning, a swan landed in the Abbey well. If you enjoyed these stories, you can find more like them in our podcast, available on apps everywhere. Thanks for listening. You're listening to this because you need to hear this right now. Welcome to the last chapter of our journey together. This collection of stories has been my love letter to you, to time itself. If you've stayed till the end, you're as much a part of this story as I am. So let me tell you one last tale. Let me start with the bell. The first note rings out, echoing in the vastness of the Abbey. Here, amidst the rustling of parchment and the scratching of quills, Aurelius finds solace in the timeless pursuit of knowledge. The scent of aging paper and ink mingles with the fragrance of beeswax candles, creating an atmosphere of tranquility and focus. As Aurelius delves into the sacred texts, he feels a sense of continuity with the monks who came before him. He realizes that his quest for understanding echoes the aspirations of those who have walked these hallowed halls for generations. Among them, one bell beckons him closer, its surface worn smooth by countless tolls. As he runs his fingers along its contours, he feels a connection to the countless monks who have stood here before him. The bell becomes a conduit to the past, whispering tales of those who have rung it with fervor and devotion. Aurelius closes his eyes, listening intently, and believes he can hear the faint echoes of their voices carried on the wings of time. The words of his brethren, the ancient texts, and the haunting painting in the chapter house all resonate within him. The chanting of prayers and psalms fills the sacred space, weaving a tapestry of devotion and contemplation. The scent of blooming herbs and flowers mingles with the earthy aroma of freshly tilled soil. The rhythmic chirping of crickets provides a soothing soundtrack to the gentle breeze rustling through the leaves. Taking a moment to savor the tranquility, Aurelius feels a deep sense of gratitude for this peaceful sanctuary. Nestled amidst the rolling hills, Aurelius joins the other monks for breakfast, engaging in lively conversation and enjoying the warmth of their camaraderie. Drawn by an inexplicable urge to ascend the ancient spiral staircase, he climbs, his steps echoing in the stillness. The higher he ascends, the thinner the air becomes, amplifying the resonant chimes that reverberate throughout the tower. The hearty meal nourishes both body and soul, preparing them for the day's rituals and contemplations. Aurelian's voice, though young, blends harmoniously with the others, creating a chorus of faith that echoes through the ages. He closes his eyes, surrendering to the stillness, and finds peace in the embrace of solitude. As he gazes upon the landscape stretching before him, a profound sense of tranquility envelopes him. He finds joy in the simplest tasks, whether copying manuscripts in the scriptorium or joining his brethren in prayer and contemplation. The Abbey bell serves as a constant reminder of the beauty and mystery of time, guiding him and the community in their spiritual journey. He feels connected to the rhythm of nature and the eternal wisdom held within these hallowed bells. In the quiet solitude of his cell, Aurelius prepares for the evening prayer. As he opens a random page, his gaze falls upon a particular verse that resonates deeply within his soul. But just like the old clock in the tower, our story has its own pendulum. Back and forth, back and forth. These moments, shared, remembered, they are the tick-tock that build up to this, the final chime. Thank you for listening, for walking this journey with me. This story wouldn't exist without you. So until we meet again in another story, in another rhyme, know that you are the echo in my rhyme. You are the chapter one. Keep reading. You are the story that keeps unfolding. And until then, sleep well, dream deep, and remember, time is not just a tick-tock on the clock. It's a story we live, a story we make. It's a story that keeps unfolding. And you, dear listener, are a part of that story, too. Keep listening, keep living, keep unfolding. Its words echoing the sentiments he has harbored for some time. In this serendipitous discovery, Aurelius finds comfort and affirmation, realizing that he is not alone in his thoughts and emotions. With meticulous care, he adorns the altar, arranging candles, incense, and flowers, creating an atmosphere of reverence and devotion. Its deep tone reverberates through ancient stones, carrying whispers of ages past. Here, in the hushed company of these ancient texts, he seeks solace and enlightenment. But instead of falling sand, a tiny figure is climbing inside the glass. This enigmatic image sparks a deep contemplation within. He considers the passage of time and the fleeting nature of human existence. Sunlight streams through the windows, casting warm rays that dance upon the stone floor. The scent of incense from the previous evening's prayers lingers in the air, mingling with the aroma of fresh bread, wafting from the kitchen below. Dressing in his simple robes, Aurelius feels a sense of peace wash over him. The hourglass becomes a metaphor for life itself, reminding him to make the most of each precious moment. The scent of aging paper and ink fills the air, creating an atmosphere of tranquility and focus. Aurelius immerses himself in the sacred words, finding wisdom and guidance in their timeless teachings. He traces the elegant script with his finger, marveling at the monks who painstakingly copied these texts by hand, preserving knowledge for generations past and future. The very air here vibrates with the echoes of important decisions made, debates had, and lives lived. He sits at the long table, surrounded by his fellow monks, united in their dedication to a life of prayer and contemplation. The air buzzes with intellectual energy as they debate theological matters, recite scriptures, and share their insights. Aurelius listens intently, eager to learn from their collective wisdom. The room reverberates with the sound of their voices, each word echoing the pursuit of spiritual understanding. Together, they form a living chronicle, each face bearing the imprint of years, dedicated to seeking wisdom and truth. Aurelius knows that he is part of this unbroken chain, a link in the great chain of tradition that stretches back through the mists of time. Above him, the ribbed vaulting stretches towards the heavens, a silent testament to the grandeur of faith and the passage of time. He ascends the winding stairs, each step echoing the rhythm of his own heartbeat. The air grows colder as he climbs, the sound of the wind mingling with the distant murmur of nocturnal creatures. The tower seems to stand as a sentinel, guarding the Abbey's secrets and marking the passage of time with each solemn toll. Sunlight streams through stained glass windows, painting intricate patterns on the stone floor and illuminating dust motes, dancing in the air. As the melody weaves its magic, shadows dance on the weathered walls, each curve and crevice sharing secrets only the twilight hours can tell. The air grows thick with anticipation, pregnant with the tales that linger within these hallowed halls. Among them, a young monk with eyes full of wonder and ears attuned to the language of time. He stands, transfixed, his soul resonating with the bell's timeless song. For him, each toll is a verse, each resonance a rhyme in the grand epic of existence. The bell's refrain stirs memories, summoning spirits of those who walked these paths before. Faces from centuries past flicker in the flickering lamplight, their stories merging with the present in a harmonious blend. Aurelius, the novice, watches, mesmerized, as the tapestry of history unfolds around him. The last note fades, leaving behind a profound silence that speaks volumes. It's a silence that invites introspection, urging Aurelius to delve into the depths of his own being. In this hushed sanctuary, he finds solace, realizing that sometimes the most profound truths are spoken in the absence of sound. As the moon ascends its celestial throne, bathing the Abbey in silvery light, Aurelius ventures forth, driven by an insatiable curiosity and a heart brimming with reverence. His path leads him through labyrinthine corridors, each turn whispering tales of yesterday. He navigates the cloister's embrace, his footsteps echoing softly upon the worn flagstones, a rhythmic counterpoint to the silence that envelops him. His journey takes him to the scriptorium, where ancient scriptures come to life under the soft glow of oil lamps. Emerging from the scriptorium, Aurelius finds himself in the chapter house, a place where history seems to converge with the present. And finally, his journey leads him to the chapter room where the pulse of the Abbey beats strong and steady. But as the night deepens, Aurelius is drawn to the bell tower, its silhouette stark against the darkening sky. In the dimly lit belfry, Aurelius finds solace among the towering bells, their resonant voices forever silenced in this sacred space. As the night deepens, Aurelius finds himself drawn to the scriptorium, where the soft glow of oil lamps illuminates rows upon rows of parchment manuscripts. Leaving the scriptorium, Aurelius steps into the chapter house, where an old painting catches his eye. It depicts a cloaked monk holding an hourglass. Drawn by an unseen force, Aurelius finds himself in the chapter room, where the assembled monks are engaged in earnest discussion. In the quiet solitude of his cell, Aurelius reflects on the day's events. As the evening deepens, Aurelius joins his fellow monks in the choir for the solemn ritual of Compline. Stepping out from the warm interior of the Abbey into the cool night, Aurelius is greeted by the comforting sight of the well-tended gardens. Beneath the cloak of darkness, Aurelius makes his way back to the scriptorium, drawn by an inexplicable urge to seek solace among the ancient books. The Abbey is alive with the vibrant energy of morning, as Aurelius wakes to the cheerful singing of birds. In the bustling Abbey kitchen, the aroma of freshly brewed herbal tea mingles with the savory sense of porridge and bread baking in the oven. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, Aurelius finds himself drawn to the bell tower. Standing amidst the towering bells, Aurelius reaches out to touch their worn surfaces, each one a silent sentinel marking the passage of time. With a newfound sense of clarity, Aurelius returns to his life at the Abbey, embracing each moment with renewed purpose and serenity. So ends our tale, the final chapter, the last page. Well, hello friends. I hope everyone's doing well. Tonight we're looking at time. We're reading stories about time. I love reading these stories because they make me feel so peaceful, not to wind the clock, not to check the gears, but simply to listen. He leans into the cold stone window frame. Above, the stars shine like polished rivets. Below, the world breathes in muffled stillness. Then he rings the small night bell once, a soft, singular note. It floats into the dark like a blessing. It tells the sleeping valley, all is well. Time watches over you. Chapter 49. The moon dial tucked beside the garden wall is a forgotten sundial. But Aurelius uses it in a different way. Each full moon, he places a polished copper bowl before it. The moonlight catches in the water. It shimmers on the dial's face. He watches where the light falls. He calls it the moon dial. Though imprecise by any clockmaker's standard, its beauty is flawless. And to Aurelius, it marks the time of dreams, of mysteries, of prayers unspoken. He bows to it and whispers, "Even the moon keeps time." Chapter 50. The feather and the spring. Once, while checking the escapement spring, Aurelius found a feather caught between two teeth of a gear. It was pale gray, striped faintly with white. From a dove, perhaps, or a sparrow's winter coat. He removed it carefully, held it to the candlelight. Then he smiled. "If time had wings," he said, "it would moult them gently." He keeps the feather in the margins of his repair log pressed between pages. A memory, a reminder that not everything caught in the machine needs fixing. Some things just want to be seen. Chapter 51. The hour of hay during the harvest. The monks rise earlier. Aurelius joins them, but keeps one ear tuned to the tower. He listens for missteps, delays, a bell that hesitates. But during the hour of hay, time feels looser, not bound by gears or rules, but scattered like straw on the wind. He hears laughter, the rustle of grain, the rhythm of scythes. It is a different kind of time, still holy, still counted, but blessed by sun, not bells. And it fills his heart with warmth. Chapter 52. The stitch of seconds. The Abbey's seamstress, Sister Imelda, once said, "Every stitch is a second." She taught the novices too, so by counting 1 ... in, 2 through, 3 ... out, Aurelius adopted her rhythm when winding the gears. And now, he sometimes stands at the tower with thread in hand, mending a tear in his sleeve. With each pull of the needle, he marks time, not with chimes, not with metal, but with thread, with care, with quiet intention. Chapter 53. The shell in the tower behind one of the stone blocks near the pendulum shaft. Aurelius found a seashell, small, pink-veined, polished by years. The Abbey is far from the sea, and no one recalls how it arrived there. He places it to his ear now and then. It hums faintly, not like the ocean, but like something old and ticking. As if it remembers, he names it the distant bell. and lets it rest beside the weights. A little mystery, a gentle echo of some long-past hour. Chapter 54. The autumn watch, when the trees turn gold. Time feels slower. The leaves fall like seconds, each with its own weight, its own moment. Aurelius walks the garden paths at dusk, gathering the brightest leaves in his hands. He presses them into the pages of his repair books, not to preserve them, but to mark a chapter. The chapter of autumn. The gears do not turn any differently, but the light shifts, and the sound of the bell becomes richer, like wood and fire, like memory. Chapter 50. He places it beside his pillow, not for light, but for companionship. The flame flickers gently, a heartbeat in fire. He says a quiet prayer. May this hour be slow. May this night be deep. May I rest in the gears of mercy. Then he watches the flame until his eyes fall closed. When he dreams, the flame remains, guiding him softly through sleep's winding corridors. Chapter 56. The axe and the hour during storm season. A tree fell near the east wall. Aurelius helped saw it into pieces. One round of its trunk was kept, its rings counted and marked. Brother Sealan carved a design upon it. A sun at the center, with 12 notches like clock hours around its edge. They hung it above the fire. Now, when Aurelius enters, he taps it with his knuckle. It rings like hollow time. One remembers too, he thinks. Every year, a circle. Every moment, another ring. Chapter 57. The hour of tea, not often spoken of in rule or ritual, but the Abbey holds a sacred hour. For tea. Late afternoon. A moment between prayers and chores. Brother Felix steeps herbs. Lavender, chamomile, lemon balm. Steam curls into the hall. The monks sit, not in silence, but soft conversation. Laughter like old parchment gentle, crinkling. Aurelius drinks slowly, letting the warmth unfold in him. This, too, is time. Time for comfort, for company, for a breath that doesn't measure, but welcomes. Chapter 58. The clock that never ticked at the back of the Abbey library, locked in a small wooden box, is a clock that never ticked. Its maker had carved every gear, placed each pin by hand, but left the final piece undone. It was meant as a meditation, a clock not to function, but to remind. Aurelius studies it sometimes. He admires its stillness, its quiet refusal to turn. He calls it the contemplation, and he keeps it wound, just in case. So many of them are about noticing the details in life, finding peace in a world that seems fast and busy. And for some reason, I always think of my dad whenever I read these stories. He loves anything related to clocks and watches, and I love hearing him talk about his hobby, because it reminds me to pay more attention to the small things. So tonight, I will share the stories I've written about my dad, and maybe you can find some inspiration to look at time in your own unique way. Chapter 48. The bell beneath the stars. Some nights, when sleep is far from him, Aurelius climbs the narrow staircase of the bell tower. Well, that's all for tonight's story. If you enjoyed the story, please hit the like button and subscribe so you won't miss any of our future stories. Welcome back, friends. Our season of rest has begun. So today, rather than publish our usual scripture reflection, we've prepared a special treat for you. No line in the monastic hours that says, "Ring when it weeps from the sky." We invite you now to join us in our final chapter. You are the ring. Take a moment, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let yourself relax into the quiet. It is time to rest. You are the ring. You are the bell. You are the clock. You are the hour. And we thank you for being here with us today. May the rest of your day be filled with peace, joy, and the sweet scent of possibility. Until tomorrow, dear friends, may your moments be richly imbued with the love of the divine. Thank you for watching. To see the full artwork and read the full text, please visit our page. But Aurelius keeps one anyway. A little chime hung outside the tower window. When rain begins, it sings. Not in alarm, not in warning, but in celebration. It is raining. The bell says, Let the earth drink. Let the dust soften. Let time melt like puddles on stone. And inside, the monks slow their steps, turn their palms upward, and give thanks for the sky's gentle turning. Chapter 60. The hour of berries. Summer brings a short but joyful hour. The hour of berries, in the garden, between sext and nun. The monks gather baskets of ripening fruit, gooseberries, currants, blackberries. Aurelius joins them with purple-stained fingers, the taste of sweetness resting on his tongue. He finds a rhythm in it, one berry picked, one hum in his throat. A soft ticking of nature's own timepiece, not measured by bells, but by ripeness, by scent, by sunlight. He writes in his log later. Time ripens as surely as fruit. Chapter 61. The embers hour long after Compline. When even whispers have fallen to silence, Aurelius sometimes wanders to the hearth. There, in the dim red glow, he listens to embers crackle. He calls it the embers hour. Too late for work, too early for waking. He places a copper pot of herbs near the coals, letting it steep in the warmth. The room smells of sage and wood. His hands grow warm without fire. He watches sparks rise like little prayers, disappearing into the dark. Time, in this hour, is not marked. It glows. Chapter 62. The owl's question. Sometimes, time asks questions. Aurelius knows this. One night, he hears an owl call 3 times from the trees. Who, ... who? He stops mid-step. What are you? Where are you? Why do you turn the clock? That's what the owl always seems to ask. He doesn't answer out loud, but he does look up at the moon, and nods once solemn and slow. The owl takes flight again, and time continues. Chapter 63. The ink hour. Each monk has his hour, with ink. Scribes lean over parchment, quills scratching slow lines of scripture, history, recipes, psalms. Aurelius, too, keeps an ink hour, though his books are filled not with prayers, but diagrams, curving arrows, cog sizes, notations in Latin and Old French. But he draws them lovingly, like a monk draws the Lord's name, and when he spills a drop of ink, he lets it dry in place, a mark of time. The ink hour passed through here, it says, and was not wasted. Chapter 64. The spider's gears in the far corner of the tower. A spider spins its web across a brass flywheel. Aurelius watches, amused, the threads, stretched like spokes of a wheel, glistening with dew. The spider returns every night to mend it, and so Aurelius lets it be. He doesn't sweep it, doesn't brush it away. It keeps time, he says, with silk instead of teeth. Sometimes, when the bell tolls, the web shivers, a tiny pendulum blessed by the wind. Chapter 65. The mattress bell. One winter, Brother Thomas fashioned a small pillow with a bell sewn inside, not to wake with, but to fall asleep too. He placed it beneath his mattress. With every shift of weight, the bell gave the softest chime, like a lullaby for the bones. Aurelius tried it once. The sound soothed him, like a whisper reminding, you are not alone. Even in sleep, the hour listens for you. He gave the idea his blessing and called it the resting chime. Chapter 66. The painted hour. Once a year, the Abbey welcomes a guest from the village, a painter named Elowin. She is permitted to roam the grounds, sketching, painting, dreaming. One year, she paints the clock tower at twilight. When it turns lavender with the sinking sun, she adds stars that weren't in the sky, and a candle in every window. Aurelius watches her. She paints not as it is, but as it feels. When she leaves, she gives him the painting. He hangs it beside the winding quay. A moment made eternal. A painted hour. Chapter 67. The loaf that rang Sisti Benedicta. Once baked a loaf of bread in the shape of a bell. No one expected it. It appeared at supper round, golden, with a little stem like a clapper. The monks laughed, but Aurelius bowed. A perfect reminder, he said, that even bread may ring true. They broke it together, and every year since, on that day, a new bellow appears, softer than iron, but just as nourishing. Chapter 68. The scented hour. The herbalist brews oils at twilight. Rosemary, linden, hyssop. She says every hour has its scent, and Aurelius agrees. He's learned to smell thyme, matins, cold wax, and old parchment, lauds, smoke, and barley, terse, sun-warmed stone, and lavender oil. None, wet leaves, and iron keys. He begins recording them in his logbook, not as numbers, but as memories. Today, the hour smelled of pine and paper. Tomorrow, I hope for mint and rain. We know many of you enjoy these videos at the end of the day to help you wind down. So we're resharing some of the artwork we've ever been creating for a project we're very excited about. The Hour, a meditation on time. Here are 68 moments that make up a day, presented to you as a gift. Please note, this is just a preview of the full artwork. If you'd like to see all 68 moments in gorgeous detail, please visit our page. Let's begin. Chapter 59. The Rain Bell. There is no official bell for rain. And now, dear friends, we come to the end of our 68 moments cycle. Time has brought us around full circle. Welcome to the last episode of The Clockwork Keeper. If you're new here, welcome. And if you've followed us for a while, welcome home. These stories were shared to help you find magic in the everyday. You are held by something much larger than yourself. I hope these tales have helped. Before we begin, I want to thank everyone who supported us this year, our patrons, our community, those who have shared our stories, who have written reviews, who have created fan art. It fell between the floorboards, and no one could find it. 3 days passed in silence. No bell, no winding. The Abbey became eerily quiet. Time froze. Drip, 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 perfectly timed. Aurelius once sat beside it for an entire Vespers. No candle, no bell, only watermark in time. He called it the drip clock. He told the novices, "You don't need gears to measure wonder. Time already falls from the sky." They watched it float downstream. No one chased it. Aurelius stood at the water's edge and said, "There it goes, the hour we cannot repeat." In Aurelius's final years, he carried a key on his belt, not marked by any label. It opened nothing. He whispered to himself, "This must be the infinite hour, the one not counted, the one not meant to end." He stood there a long time, unwound the clock, let it rest, and simply was. And yet, he called it the most important. He would press it gently into young hands and say, "This is the key that fits time." When they looked puzzled, he explained, "Because it reminds you there's always something you can't open, and yet you carry it anyway. I know they've taught me as much about life as about storytelling." Brother John asked, "Should we retrieve it?" He only smiled. "No, let it mark its own tide." Years later, a fisherman claimed to have found a boat in perfect condition, miles from the Abbey, with the Abbey seal still on its back. Its great pendulum eased and stopped. No clang of failure, no cry of protest, just rest. The tower filled with peace. The stars outside hung still, and inside, every monk dreamed of a place beyond time. Not an ending, not a breaking, but a sleeping, like a great sigh release. They welcomed it back, but let it float once more. They've since named that corner the Rain's Choir. But then on the third night a splinter rose from the plank near the gate. There is one bell in the tower that no one has ever heard. It hangs highest above the others, tucked behind a wooden brace. It has no rope, no clapper, but Aurelius believes it rings. When the wind is just so, when the night is deep enough, he wrote once. I do not need to hear it to believe. Some hours ring in silence, and they ring true. He never tried to fix it. He only blessed it with oil and let it keep its secret. A tiny bump beneath his foot. He pried it open, and there, the key waited. Time resumed. Soap for the Abbey. The scent winds up the stone stairwell, cleansing the very air. The monks call it the soap maker's hour. Aurelius always smiles when he smells it, he once told her. Your soap keeps time in the cracks of our hands. where the clock cannot reach. She gave him a bar carved like a sun. He never used it. It rests in his drawer, smelling of lavender and clean beginnings. From then on, he called it the splintered hour, when the wood itself gave back what was lost. Hold tight to the ones you love, and let these stories weave their magic around you. No one knows why. Some say a painting fell long ago. Others say it was always empty. Aurelius passes it nightly, and always pauses. He stares into the emptiness, and somehow he sees the sky. Not a painted one, but the real one. Stars in winter, mist in spring, he once whispered. You are the picture of the hour I never captured, and walked on. And those who have sent us messages telling us how our stories helped them through difficult times. We poured our hearts into these episodes, and knowing that you've listened gives me strength to keep creating. So gather close. It has never been installed. Too soft, some said. Too fragrant, said others. But Aurelius disagreed. He keeps it oiled and polished, lifts it now and then to inhale the scent. It smells of old trunks and long journeys. One night, he dreams. The clock needs that gear. He wakes before dawn and installs it, and nothing changes. But the tower smelts of cedar for a week, and the bells ring sweeter. Chapter 69. The Trainless Track. Long before such things had names, a narrow trench of stones winds through the grass. 2 tracks of polished limestone with a rut in between. In the sacristy is a mirror that has hung for 70 winters. Not polished glass, but a polished disc of pewter. It does not show the face, truly. Only shapes softened by age. Aurelius visits it once a month. After cleaning the mechanism, he looks, he smiles. Still here, he says, 1 year. Someone places a bell beside it. No one knows who. Now, when monks visit the mirror, they gently ring the bell, acknowledging time's passing, but also its mercy. No carts run there. No beast pulls weight, but Aurelius found it once when walking with Brother Tomas. What do you think it was? The boy asks. A forgotten path, Aurelius said. Or the ghost of one. Time doesn't always move forward. Sometimes it just loops and waits. They walked along it for an hour. It led nowhere, but they arrived somewhere inside. Chapter 70. The Mirror Bell. Chapter 71. The cedar gear. Deep in the workroom, hidden behind other gears, is a cedar gear carved decades ago by Brother Anselm. Chapter 72. The Splintered Hour. There was a time in Aurelius's youth when he dropped the tower's master key. Chapter 73. The Frame Without a Picture. In the corridor that leads to the dormitories, a frame hangs empty. Chapter 74. The Drip Clock. In the gardens, during rainstorms, water trickles from an old copper gutter onto a flat stone. Chapter 75. The Lost Bell. Chapter 76. The Soapmaker's Hour. Once a month, Sister Theres boils tallow and lavender. Chapter 77. The Hour That Floated Away. One spring flood. The small rowboat kept behind the Abbey drifted from shore. Chapter 78. The Key That Fits All. Chapter 79. The Infinite Hour. One winter night, with frost threading every pane, Aurelius looked out across the snowy field. No footprints, no clouds, no sound. Chapter 80. The night the clock slept. And one night, as if understanding its keeper's breath, the clock slowed. I hope these stories have brought you comfort, joy, or peace. And remember, as Aurelius often said, there is magic in the mundane, and wonder in the everyday. Welcome to the final episode of Time Stories. Today, we are bringing you the final chapter of Aurelius, written and recorded, especially for this occasion. Thank you for being here today, and thank you to our Patreon producer. Their support and that of other generous fans has made it possible for us to bring you another story from the wonderful author. But before we begin, I have a little announcement. Today, we are giving away 2 prizes. First, one lucky person will receive a signed copy of The Clock Door, a companion novella to the series. All you have to do to be eligible is make sure you are subscribed to our channel, unlit for decades, yet always replaced if disturbed. It belonged to no one. No chores call, no psalms rise, not by mistake, but by design. Aurelius named it the cloister hour, the hour between bells, a space held open like hands waiting to bless. During that time, monks walked barefoot, even the birds fell silent, and those who listened closely heard not absence, but possibility. Aurelius discovered it only when he heard a skip, a half-second pause in the gear's music. No sign marked it, but inside it were the things that time misplaced. A novice's lost glove, a chipped spoon, a stone with a child's face drawn in charcoal. Aurelius visited it often. He never removed anything, only added, "You who breathe beneath blankets, eyes heavy as velvet, you who drift between thoughts like clouds slipping past a cloister wall. This hour belongs not to monks, nor gears, nor bells, but to you. Let the rhythm settle in your chest. Let each breath be a chime. Let sleep carry you as the gears once carried time. You do not need to wind anything now. You only need to close your eyes. The Abbey will keep time. The clock will remember. And you will dream beneath it all. Gently, eternally. Good night. SOFT. Closing chime rings once, then fades tilde. We must leave time, space to misplace, he said. Not everything wants to be found. He found a single feather lodged beneath the escapement. He held it, smiling. Not with chimes, but with birds. One spring morning, just after sunrise, the Abbey stood in golden hush. Aurelius did not rise for prime. He had passed in his sleep, as monks often do. Not with drama, but with release. They found his hands folded around the cedar gear, a smile upon his face, and the candle of waiting lit. Somehow, its wick burned steady, and time stood still. It tried to fly time, he said, and time let it, nor did it race ahead. It simply ticked, with rhythm, with reverence, as though it had taken a vow, not of silence, but of continuity. A novice climbed the tower, traced the gears, turned the crank, and the bell rang. Not louder, not softer, just true. They placed Aurelius's sandals at the base of the tower. He needed them no longer. He left the feather on the sill. The sparrow never returned, but every spring thereafter, the gears skipped just once, in memory. If you enjoyed these tales and would like to experience more adventures in medieval fantasy, I invite you to check out my podcast. New episodes premiere every Wednesday. You can listen on various platforms. Thanks for joining us today, and thanks again to our patrons and fans for making this entire series possible. Until next time, take care. And to everyone, its wick remained untouched, but the wax bore fingerprints from those who held it, longing for light, but not yet needing it. Aurelius called it the candle of waiting. It burned not with flame, but with presence. Aurelius stood before the great gears, his hand on the winding crank. The air was quiet, not in absence, but in presence. For St. Bonut's, it was the quiet chamber, once a room for relics, now holding only dust and breath. Aurelius entered it once a year, never more. He brought nothing in, he took nothing out. He said it reminded him of death. Not as an end, but a hush, a place to lie still and hear the world breathe without you. And know, it continues, lovingly, as if the Abbey itself had drawn a deep breath. He did not wind the clock. Instead, he placed a crank beside it. But Aurelius noticed, in winter's light, its threads looked blue. In spring, green. In summer, the red returned. And autumn, gold. It remembers seasons, he'd say, or perhaps seasons remembered it. It became his favorite clock, marking not minutes, but feelings. Some days, it looked like dusk, others, like dawn. He never asked the weavers. He let the mystery stay. This moment needs no turning, he whispered. The gears gleamed, expectant. still held in perfect pause. Then head over to our social media page and comment on the post announcing this episode. We'll use a random number generator to pick the winner from among the comments. Second, to celebrate the release of the complete collection of time stories, we're also giving away a bundle of merchandise from our store. It includes an enameled pin set, stickers, bookmarks, and a hand-illustrated card deck based on the Time Stories lore. All you have to do to be eligible is visit our store and spend at least $1. Then fill out this very short survey. We'll put the link in the description box below. Thanks to our store partner, Ship. We can ship anywhere in the world. And now it's time for the final episode. Sit back and enjoy. Chapter 81. The Last Wind. It was a morning draped in fog. Soft tendrils curled beneath the arched windows, kissing the stone floor like prayerful incense. Chapter 82. The letter in the lintel behind the Abbey's western door. Tucked in a groove above the arch lay a small piece of parchment, sealed with wax. Few knew of it, but Aurelius did. He placed it there in his 33rd year. A letter to no one. A letter to time itself. It read, "If you ever grow weary of circling, rest here. These walls know your footsteps. They will hold you." He never removed it. He trusted time would find it. Chapter 83. The candle that never burned down on the last shelf in the refectory, next to the spices and dried herbs, was a single beeswaxed candle. Chapter 84. The hour between bells in every day. There is one hour when no bells ring. Chapter 85. The quiet chamber. Every abbey has a place. No voice rises. Chapter 86. The tapestry that changed colors in the north hallway. Beside a cracked stained glass window hung an old tapestry no longer bright. Chapter 87. The feather in the gears. One soft spring morning, a sparrow nested in the clock tower. Chapter 88. The basket of forgotten things in the laundry room. Beside the bins of folded robes and woolen socks sat a round wicker basket. Chapter 89. The Abbey's final hour. It came not with bells. Chapter 90. The clock without a maker. The clock did not stop. Chapter 91. The hour that belongs to you now. Dear listener, the hour has circled back to you. Thank you for listening to this final time story.